words of the town crier all over the street corners of England just a couple weeks ago. It's a girl! And just 10 hours, 10 measly hours after her mom gave birth to her, that mom was on the way home from the hospital. They don't make women like that anymore. Oh, wait a minute, they do, because she's like only 29. But with all the hoopla, I got to wonder if that likely future Queen of England wondered what most every other mother has ever wondered on the way home from the hospital. And sometimes late at night, those first weeks. Now, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into? I'm a little young for all this, don't you think? How did I get here? I have no clue how to do this, and certainly no clue how to do it well. What every mom knows is that even if for a second or a third time, life as she knows it is over. Life as she knows it is over. One mom friend of mine told me how she was walking out of the hospital that first time, thinking to herself, do they know us? Is it legal just to let us carry this baby home? Do they know I can hardly balance a checkbook? It's that dawning realization that she is now responsible for this little life. Responsible. And as any mother knows, this thing is now totally dependent on her attention and care and nurturing. This wee one will die without her, especially those first few months becoming years. It never stops. It never stops. Moms, did you look out the door of those hospitals and see unending responsibility for this little life in one way or another for the rest of your life? It's a scary thought, really. Having responsibility for a time is one thing, but for the rest of your lives? Whoa. I asked you at the beginning of Mass in the Gospel question, if you consider yourself a mature person. Do you? For me, every time I look in a mirror, and every single person I've ever met or ever worked with is only ever maturing. The measure of a mature person is whether or not we're willing to take on responsibility. Take on responsibility is the measure of maturity. And the measure of responsibility is the willingness to do what I'd rather not do that has no felt meaning or little and can be quite ordinary and call for lots of sacrifices. And to do all that without complaining how busy I am or how stressed I am. Are there any here who aren't too busy and too stressed? But responsibility is something else too. It's knowing the buck stops here, even if that buck is a life. I know many over the years who have crashed and burned under the weight of their responsibilities. Trapped, they felt. And while all of us perhaps have our areas in which we are not very responsible and therefore not very mature, really, it is important that overall we see ourselves that way, and that others begin to see us as maturing adults. Otherwise, we lose. Otherwise, they won't really listen to us when we talk. We'll lack any sort of authority in their lives. Oh, we might feel like life could be a lot more fun and playful with no responsibility, and I'm very good at that. But actually, we lose. And we lose the respect of other people. And not that we should always be garnering and acting so that we get respected. But if we don't, people will stop trusting us. So we get to choose, you and I, we get to choose whether or not we want to be trusted. Truth is, none of us feels fully, totally equipped and ready and prepared for the responsibilities that have been thrust upon us by life and by love. No one. No parent I've ever met, no campus minister, no CEO, not even one who dares the adventure of friendship, which Jesus talks about in his gospel. Not even a friend feels totally prepared for what friendship will call forth from us sometimes. Jesus calls us his friends, and he talks about what that means to him, that it means he has taken freely some responsibility for our hearts, for our lives. And I'm sure all of us, including him, wondered sometimes if we're up to it. There are days we want to leave it all. There are days we want to chuck it. I can still hear my mom saying day after day to us, you know, you guys keep calling my name. You keep calling my name. Mommy, Mom, Mother, you keep calling my name. And I have to say, I had this huge flashback. My brother and I used to do that way too much, I'm sure. And it's from Stewie, on Family Guy. Stewie just starts laughing. And so my mom would say, that's my name, don't wear it out. But this is love. This is love. This is what love looks like. That we would take responsibility for another human being's life. No matter how undramatic sometimes it can be to do that, or unglamorous, that we would take responsibilities for another's life and step up to that. And on most days, it is nothing but this. And it's really only that frame on the picture that can end up growing us and helping us eventually to die happy, die feeling like we've done something with our lives other than for just ourselves. And I can't help but believe in that tiny infant's face when it begins to focus those deep almond eyes and they look up in the midst of a diaper change and see Mama's face, that is their first glimpse of the face of God. Right then, the eyes of the helpless meeting the eyes of the helper. And I see it on the other end of life too, with my dad being 98 now. The look on his face sometimes, the eyes of the helpless looking at the eyes of the helper. There's nothing like it in the world. And how many moms don't, at least for a moment just then, know in their bones that it was all worthwhile. Every tear, every weary, exhausting night, every sleepless minute, it's all worthwhile. And that's joy. That's the joy Jesus just talked about in the gospel. That moment when you know it was worth it. That's joy. To hold together all that responsibility with love. You get this sense, that you really are growing up. That you really are growing up now. finally maybe, that this is what maturity feels like. Today's gospel puts it something like this. I call you my friends. Jesus says, I, like a good mom, choose freely to take responsibility for your heart and commit myself to helping you become your own best self for others' sake. I choose that now. It's what any friend does for a friend. It's what any spouse does for their partner. And it's what any mom does for her kids. And then he concludes by saying, and I think it's the best description of responsibility ever. Greater love has no person, but that they would lay down their lives for another. Being responsible for that little life, now and forever, is what laying down your life looks like. And it is joy to be trusted with another life. And I have to tell you, my mom's been gone for 27 years now, and I still have the sense that she's taking some responsibility for getting me to heaven. Thank God somebody is. And I still have the sense that she's praying for me and praying for my work at the Catholic Student Center. Because it's what moms do, you know? Literally, the last words that she left, my dad, my brother, myself, and my brother's son, were these. If I can, I will be watching out for you from heaven. You know, it's what moms do. You know?